Imagine this, you're planning your next dream vacation. You've saved up enough money to make it happen, so you spend countless hours picking out the perfect destination. Finally, you decide on a secluded cottage, nestled deep in the woods. You think to yourself, I'm finally gonna get some peace and quiet. But what you didn't know was that it was into type of peace and quiet you were going to get. In today's video, we now tell you the story of a woman who learned that the hard way when she booked an Airbnb and found out it was reserved for her soul. Our next Reddit user post is from a few years ago. I rented a cabin with a friend of mine for a weekend getaway from the stress of living in a big city. The remote location looked beautiful online and the price was reasonable, so we booked it without thinking much else of it. On the day of our trip, we loaded up my car and drove 3 hours to the location. The road to get there was pretty rough and, quite honestly, terrifying. But the final stretch had us both really excited. It was a long driveway winding through a forest, and it ended at a clearing with a really nice-looking cabin. There was a huge front porch and rocking chairs, and inside everything looked like it came straight out of Better Homes and Gardens. We were very happy with our choice. After settling in, we decided to go check out the surrounding area. We walked around outside and saw nothing but trees. We could unsee any neighbors or even any roads leading anywhere other than back to the one we came in on. So we decided to head back to the cabin and have some wine while watching Netflix. About halfway through the second bottle of wine, we started hearing strange sounds in the walls, and at first we thought maybe it was just settling noises, but then we started hearing scratching sounds and light footsteps. Neither of us said anything because we were both trying to ignore the sounds and keep watching our show. About half an hour later, the sounds stopped. We woke up early the next morning and made plans to go into town and do some hiking. As we were eating breakfast, we started hearing more scratching noises, but they seemed to be coming from the attic above us. We both decided that it was probably just squirrels, so we finished our breakfast and headed out the door. We spent all day hiking and having fun, and we didn't get back to the cabin until about 8 p.m. When we opened the front door, we noticed that the rocking chair on the porch was swaying gently, although no one had been near it for 2 days. Now, normally I would have just chalked it up to a trick of the wind, but the temperature had been consistently freezing for weeks, so there was no way that there could have been any wind to move it. Each one was small pebbles that had been collected from outside and meticulously lined up in rows on our bed and the kitchen table. It almost looked like someone had arranged them in an attempt to communicate something to us. Needless to say, we cut our vacation short and headed home. When we got back, we left the presents for the owner and we figured that he would take care of it. Well, fast forward 6 months and we still haven't received any of our security deposit back. And the owner told us over email that he could give us our money back because we had disturbed the spirits of his property. Apparently, the cabin had not one, but several ghosts that did not appreciate our presence. He also informed us that we should have done our research before booking, because most of the guests were aware of the ghosts and the regular activity that happened on the property. He went on to explain that even though the ghosts didn't usually interact with guests, they were highly agitated by the salt that we brought with us, and they viewed this as a threat, causing them to become aggressive. He suggested that we should consider ourselves lucky that we were only left with pebbles and not something worse. Our next Reddit user post is from another year. This past spring, I was staying at an Airbnb in the middle of nowhere. The house itself was beautiful, but the reason I chose it was because the photos of the master bedroom included a queen-sized canopy bed, which I desperately needed for my infant daughter. When I arrived, I found the place empty and unlocked, which was odd since the host was supposed to be there to hand me the keys. After a quick search, I found the host hiding in the closet under a pile of dirty clothes. She claimed that she was trying to surprise me, but I was less than impressed with how dirty the house was. Dirty dishes piled up in the sink, bugs everywhere and hair clogging the shower drain. But I was already there, so I just unpacked and tried to make the best of it. The host left after a few hours, but not before warning me about the ghosts that inhabited the house. Apparently, the original owners died tragically and now their spirits linger. She assured me that they meant no harm and that I wouldn't have any problems. Of course, I thought to myself, great, just great, a haunted house. Later that night, I was woken up by heavy footsteps, pacing back and forth above my head. I thought it was my 13-month-old daughter, but when I checked on her, she was fast asleep. I heard the footsteps again the next night, but this time they were coming from right outside my door. I didn't think much of it, and I went back to sleep. But in the morning I noticed that my daughter's crib had been overturned. I wasn't sure if it was my daughter or a ghost, so I put her down for a nap, and I went to check on the host. I knocked on the door and she answered in a panic. I showed her the crib and she just stared at it in disbelief. She apologized profusely and told me that I could leave immediately and that she would refund my money. I packed up and I left. To this day I don't know what happened to that crib. Our next Reddit user post is from 2 years ago. I work at a campground in the northern Minnesota woods during the summer. Most of our rentals are cabins, but we do have a yurt and a few platform tents that people can rent. One year we had a guest book a platform tent for a couple of nights. A platform tent is essentially a roof with a ladder. The rest of the shelter is made up of rocks and dirt. It's very primitive. When the guests arrived, they were shown where their tent was located and given a brief overview of how to get there and how to use the tent. During the orientation, we always let guests know that if they need anything, they can contact us. We'll do our best to help them out. The first night goes by without a hitch. Then we get a call in the middle of the night from the guest. They're understandably freaked out and they tell us that they want to cancel their reservation and leave. They describe hearing what sounded like screams in the forest and feeling vibrations in the tent. They were also saying that their flashlight stopped working, which is odd because they were renting the tent during the summer. My coworker and I look at each other and burst out laughing. We tell them that we'll refund their money and they can leave whenever they want. But we also warn them that whatever they do, they shouldn't leave the tent. That's when they start telling us about how their flashlight stopped working. We try to calm them down and tell them that we send a maintenance worker out with a new flashlight, but they refuse to let anyone in the tent. Eventually, we convince them to let the maintenance man come in and replace their flashlights, and we get off the phone with them. In the morning, the maintenance man tells us that the flashlight wasn't broken. He just needed new batteries, and he told us that he didn't hear or feel anything unusual while he was out there. About a week after they go home, we get a review from them. In the review, they reiterate that they heard screams in the middle of the night, that their flashlight broke, and that they felt vibrations in the tent. They also say that they will never go camping again. Now, their claims of hearing screams could busily be explained by the fact that they were in the middle of the woods at night. Also, the flashlight thing turned out to be a simple case of it needing new battery. As for the vibrations, well, we have an issue with groundhogs. In the area, groundhogs make a very distinct noise when they're digging, and they love to dig at night. The weirdest part of the whole ordeal was that they had specifically requested this tent. Every summer we have a contest at work to see who can get the most unique request. One of the categories is most specific. For example, last year someone wanted to stay in a yurt because they thought it would increase their chances of seeing a yurt. This couple beat that request. They wanted to stay in the smallest, most isolated platform tent that we had. Now, if you like spooky stories, we've got plenty of them on this channel. If you want to see more, just search for more on this channel. Anyways, that was our video. If you liked it, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you.